Y'all ever had a plant just die? Like, just up and die? Especially like a little seedling, like something you just planted, and then very quickly thereafter, it got sick and then keeled over. That plant and that seed could have been infected with Alternaria. And so for today's plant panic, I am going to ring the alarm on one of the most insidious yet ubiquitous pathogens out there, Alternaria species. By ubiquitous, I mean that it is one of the most common fungal spores out in the air, one of many causes for hay fever. And by insidious, I mean it infects near all types of plants worldwide and is one of the most economically taxing and acreage devastating pathogens out there. Alright guys, so for today we're going to turn to page 453 in our Plant Pathogens 5th edition by George N. Agrios. It can affect all parts of a plant, leaves, stems, fruiting bodies, you name it, it's there. And just in that kinda, sorta, every case is different kind of way, but these are its typical presentations. And also, pretty typically, it affects vegetable row crops, ornamental plants. It can also affect citruses and apples and other kinds of trees. Most Alternaria species are saprophytic fungi, which means they don't like to live in living tissue. They like to live on dead, dying, decaying tissue. They overwinter, which is a term that is used for insects and all of these various pathogens, fungi, bacterium, what have you. Overwintering is exactly that, how they choose to spend the cold months and live it out. Where they choose to do it, how they choose to do it, in what life stage of theirs they choose to do it in. It is a specific stage of their life to overwinter. Obviously a very important stage. It's the most crucial. If they do not survive this, they do not continue their genetics. And so they are saprophytic in that they overwinter and proliferate on this dead and dying material. But then how does that material become dead and dying? Through infestation of inoculum. So disease symptoms of Alternaria species can manifest in a few very characteristic ways. It will usually appear first as leaf spot or blight that are dark brown and black in color, and proliferate in a very characteristic target pattern. Concentric circles expanding and enlarging to envelop whatever plant body it is on, whether it is around the stem to girdle the stem of a plant, young or old, or whether it is concentric ringed spots taking over a leaf surface and disrupting a plant's ability to photosynthesize, or whether it is these concentric rings taking over a fruiting body and damaging the crop, the prolificness, what have you, of whatever plant. Examples of this could be tomato and potato early blight, it could be Alternaria alternata, it could be a number of things. There are so many Alternaria species. It's honestly kind of freaky. It has many forms of transmission, but typically takes hold in older, senescing is the word, the biological term for aging, leaves, branches, stems that are lower to the ground and more readily inoculated. Plants with soft stems like a tomato or a potato, those stems, there becomes this girdling. Roots and modified roots like tubers aren't immune either. Modified root, an example, a potato, will get these lesions on it that are dark, also sort of concentric ringed, couple millimeters deep, few centimeters across, something completely economically devastating to a crop. And to just completely articulate, maturing fruits and what could be considered stronger, healthier, more vigorous parts of a plant aren't immune either. Let's be completely clear. Fruiting body, as in fruiting body of a fungi is a mushroom in some cases. The fruiting body of a piece of corn, which is a monocot, is a rachis probably because it's a grain. I don't know. Not necessarily the strict definition of fruit, seeds encapsulated. It can attack some hosts at the blossom end of a fruit, like a tomato, like a apple. It can attack some hosts at the stem end, also like tomatoes, also like apples. But all of this goes out the window if the plant has any sort of mechanical damage, because then inoculum can get in at that wound site, because when you are doing any sort of trimming and any sort of removal on a plant, that is essentially surgery, and we have to keep our surgical sites clean, right? So a plant having a wound anywhere on it negates the need for any of these typical highways. Well, on fruiting bodies, There can be small spots and lesions that are sunk in it that can either stay that kind of pockmarked small, or they can present across the entire fruiting body, where the cuticle of the fruiting body becomes leathery and then also starts to express the sporulating bodies of this fungus. Alternaria covers fruiting bodies in this gray velvet carpet of ick. Alternaria species have this dark colored mycelium that grow throughout whichever plant organ part they are infecting. Once ready, that mycelial network will break through the cuticle of the plant and express the reproductive organs of this fungi. Alternaria species then reach out through dead and dying material to produce their reproductive organs on the outside. Gray, nasty carpet ick layer we talked about earlier. Those reproductive organs are called conidiophores, and they produce the reproductive material that is then carried off and becomes part of dust in the air called conidia. The conidia are designed to easily detach and get carried in all sorts of ways. Wind, water, dust, mechanical abrasion, you name it, they get flown around, where they then reattach to more dead, dying host material, and the cycle continues. Insert circle of life joke here. So life comes full circle in that those conidia then go and fall on new plant material and overwinter on that dead or dying plant material and or in seeds, and then get to proliferate a new host and make a whole new generation of it. Because these spores proliferate most commonly on dead or dying debris plant material that is out there among your ornamental crops, along the floors of your almond orchards, what one can do, what we in the business call IPM, Integrated Pest Management, is mechanically, physically remove all of that debris. Just get rid of the gross leaves that are on whatever plants. Let me show you. This is a plant of mine called Ledaburia socialis violaceae. It's from Africa, South Africa. It is this kind of clumping, false onion looking guy. He's pretty. He's leopard spots, my guy. It's gorgeous. Sometimes. But my guy here is looking a little rough. So, let's practice some IPM, some mechanical removal of some potential inoculum. Yeah, moving all of that gross nastiness that is right next to our pot, down at soil level, that's drooping, and is the pathogen highway. With a alakazam. Just cut it. Just cut the bad leaves off. It's better for you. It's better for the plant. Remove the refuse. Leaf litter. Detritus. I'm the panicked plant person. This has been my plant panic for today.